Hey friends, it's Rosalind. Welcome back to our gardens and our tiny farm. Today we are just going to walk through the gardens together. The beginning of July, I think actually it was maybe the first day of July, we had walked through the gardens together and just looked at everything that was in bloom. But I thought it would be fun at the end of July to again just walk through the gardens together and kind of compare the difference from beginning of July to end of July, because I love spring and early summer in the garden, but I feel like here in northern Indiana, the gardens really start peaking in end of July and into August because everything has filled in, everything is blooming, it's looking beautiful. The hydrangeas are blooming, there is some later blooming lilies that have started opening. So we are going to walk through the front I call it our formal cutting garden because it's right out here by our driveway as you drive into our property. So I try to keep it more formal out here, but then we are going out to the patio garden and into the cottage cutting garden and on into the greenhouse garden. So make yourself a cup of coffee or tea, and we are just going to walk through the garden together. Since the last garden tour, there has been quite a few changes in this garden. So you might remember if you were here for the last tour, that we had creeping thyme that went all along the pathways, and I really wasn't liking it. So we dug all of those up and moved it out into our wildflower patch. As you walk into the entrance of this garden, we replaced the creeping thyme along here with boxwood, and I think that is going to look a lot better. We do have a Bathsheba climbing rose that we planted just this spring. Eventually it will reach to the top of this arbor. And as we continue on into the garden, over here we used to have an apple tree right here where you see this dappled willow, and this spring we had a very bad windstorm and it just split the root in half. So I removed that apple tree, I placed it out into our orchard to hopefully give it a second life. We'll see how it fares out there. But we found some trees for 75% off at Lowe's. And so I replaced the apple tree with a dappled willow tree. This foliage is absolutely beautiful. And I feel like this is going to look prettier with its weeping habit out here in the formal cutting garden. We used to have a rose back here. It was a stainless steel rose, and I believe that's hardy to growing zone 6. They say we are a growing zone 6, but anything that I plant in our gardens that is supposed to be hardy in a growing zone 6 does not survive our winter. So I try to plant for a growing zone 5, but isn't this hydrangea absolutely gorgeous? I'll have to pop the name up on the screen because it's another one that we found on the clearance rack at Lowe's, and it's looking so pretty. The Casablanca lilies are absolutely smelling divine. It kind of smells like jasmine to me. So over here, we did have our Princess Charlene rose back here. Pulled that up and placed it out into the back cutting garden and replaced it with the same hydrangea as we do have over here. And this plum tree we are going to be removing as well, because every year it just gets, like you can see the top is totally defoliated from the Japanese beetles. Every spring its blooms get frozen off and we never receive any fruit from it. So we are going to remove this one as well. And we do have another dappled willow. So we'll have 2 dappled willows, one in each corner of the garden, and matching hydrangeas. And I think that is going to look a lot better. In the last garden tour, I had asked you guys what you would plant along this pathway, because again, all along here we had creeping thyme, but it was coming out into the pathway and it was coming all the way in here to where you see the iris and the hydrangeas, and it was not looking very nice at all. And one of you suggested adding in a hedge of lavender along this pathway. So 2 weeks ago, we came in here and we just planted a hedge of lavender. If we look in here, pufferfish hydrangea is looking absolutely gorgeous. It has these very, very big blooms. And we have another one over here on this side. Invincible ruby hydrangeas are looking gorgeous. And let's walk over here because you guys need to see this lily. This is a rose lily. Isn't it so pretty? It's just started opening up and it's pollenless. So it's perfect to use in cut flower arrangements. When we first moved to this property, we had wanted to have an orchard out here. So that's why there's some fruit trees in here. But I think it was 2 years ago, we decided to have an orchard out back in the back field. And that is so much better than having it up here. Then we decided to turn this into a flower garden. And the vision for this garden was to have it filled with lilies, hydrangeas. I wanted to have summer blooming alliums in here, just lots of like calming colors. This is Sahara Rudbeckia, and we had started it from seed using the winter sowing method. But the reason I love this Rudbeckia is, okay, so it's from the same seed, but look at the variation. Like one of them has a very full kind of orange bloom, and then there's this, a single bloom with like it has more reds to it. It's such a pretty flower. Before we head back to the patio garden, I did want to share these planters with you because you might remember where I think it was either the last week in May or the first week in June when we had planted them. Do you remember how puny these flowers look? I didn't even want to get close to show it to you guys because the flowers were half dead, and just look at them. So I've been trying to feed them either once a week or once every 2 weeks with a water soluble fertilizer, and they have gone crazy. We have super petunias in here, and there is it blue suede shoes salvia, and then we do have some diamond frost euphorbia that is trying to keep up, and dichondra silver falls. Absolutely beautiful combination. And the planters up here on the porch, we had planted these the same time we did the planters in front of the garage. We have some begonias, there's collias in here, dichondra silver falls, and there's lantana peeking out somewhere right there. But these again were so small and they have grown like crazy. The porch is my favorite place to sit and have my morning coffee because it's a very restful spot. Like there's not a whole lot of color up here. The ferns and the begonias are actually working very well together in these planters. And then there's just some green plants. Like there's just foliage plants, I should say. Not a whole lot of color. Actually, down here, we need to take a look at the Rose of Sharon. The hummingbirds absolutely adore this plant. And this is a double blooming Rose of Sharon. It doesn't grow seeds like some of the older varieties do, but it is just loaded with blooms right now. As you walk into the backyard, the first thing you see is the cottage cutting garden. But if we turn this way, we see the patio garden and some of my clearance rescue plants. We'll have to take a peek at them before we continue on into the patio garden. These were all 50 and 75% off at Lowe's and at Home Depot. We did get a Firebird crabapple, and this is going into the patio garden. We have another dappled willow to replace the plum tree out in the front cut flower garden. And last time I had shared the Korean spice viburnum with you guys. And just yesterday, I did get this pink chiffon Rose of Sharon. Aren't those blooms absolutely gorgeous? And a dapper white butterfly bush. And this grows 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. But doesn't that look beautiful? As we walk into the patio garden, I have really been trying to work on making this a more restful space, adding in more hydrangeas. I feel like hydrangeas, especially panicle and smooth hydrangeas, like they take so little care, yet they bring so much beauty to a space. So we did have a big leaf hydrangea in here. I ended up removing it because a lot of our big leaves, okay, let's come over here to this one. Like we always have a late frost and it just nips those blooms. Like there's no blooms on here. So I did plant a limelight in here in place of the big leaf, and this will get huge. You'll see the one out in the back cut flower garden. I mean, it's a monster. But if we come on around the corner, there is 2 Bobo hydrangeas in here that I absolutely love. They are gorgeous from summer right into fall. So if we turn this way, there is another big leaf hydrangea that I will be removing. It has one teensy bloom on it. And I'm going to replace it with a bobo hydrangea. I have to look at the tiny bloom that it has. I mean, look at that. It's kind of sad. But I also thought like bringing in another bobo hydrangea would just hide all of this and soften our AC unit. I have been slowly been working on softening this area. So I did bring in just a picket fence to kind of back it up, to draw your eye up, and planted a hydrangea in front of it. Now, this is a big leaf hydrangea, but do you notice that it has blooms on it? And it is filling up with buds all over the place because it's a reblooming hydrangea. So even though the spring buds get nipped, it will still bring us summer bloom. Oh my goodness, the planters up here on the patio are looking glorious. So this is, again, these planters, I give them either once a week or once every other week. I will give them a water-soluble fertilizer, and they're just going crazy. There's mostly, if we back up, there's Super Tunia, is it Saffron Finch? There is some Super Bina in here, and Salvia. And it is just absolutely glorious. But if we look back in this direction, this is the boys' little gardens. So it's just a sweet little spot. And we have just some grasses and more hydrangeas in here. This is the Pinky Winky hydrangea. It isn't fully in bloom yet, but this is what the blooms look like. And you can see on the top, it is loading up with blooms. And if we come around the corner, we do have a hibiscus that I had transplanted from this side of the deck. I moved it over here this spring, and it is completely budded up. I wasn't sure if it would survive the move, but it is looking beautiful. At Last Rose is looking very pretty right now. And the waterfall that we worked on last week together. Oh my goodness, we are absolutely loving it. I'm going to try and link the fountain into the description of this video because a lot of you have been asking for the link to it. But look at this. Oh, so beautiful. If we turn this direction, there is a big leaf hydrangea, but the blooms, I just love the soft pink blooms. So this one can stay in the garden. Isn't it so pretty? And if we turn in this direction, this is a spot that we have been loving this summer. Naveed came in here this spring and he built a little fireplace area for us. And it's very simple, but it's a spot that we absolutely love sitting in. Let's walk around to this corner of the garden, and then we'll come back out, walk down this pathway, then we'll come out the pathway and walk around the edge of the garden and on back into the greenhouse garden. So this is our limelight hydrangea. I mean, isn't it huge? It's taller than I am. It probably stands about 6 feet tall and probably, I don't know, maybe 5 feet wide. It's huge. And in another couple weeks, this is going to be so beautiful. We do have the front of it planted with echinacea, and if we come around the corner, there is some cranesbill geranium that the bees love. You see the bees on it. And it's backed up by some liatris and garden phlox. This is a garden phlox that I got from my mom's garden. I think it's one of my favorite phlox that we have in the garden. A lot of people mistake it for a hydrangea just because of how tall it stands and how big the blooms are. It's kind of spread itself around a little bit, which I don't mind. It's easy to pull if it comes up any spot that you don't want it in, but it's very pretty. There's some butterfly weeds in here. There's a butterfly bush back in here and echinacea. Look at this. I hadn't noticed this before. The hibiscus is blooming. Oh, so pretty. In another few weeks, the autumn joy sedum will start blooming. You can see it's completely budded up. The bee balm is something that the hummingbirds absolutely love. The bumblebees love it too. Incredible blush hydrangea is pretty much done blooming. Still looking very sweet, but the blooms are kind of browning out. And oh my goodness, the window boxes. This is the vintage coral, double vintage coral super gold. I had to grab the tag because I couldn't remember the name of it, but everybody that walks through the garden asks, what is that flower? It is so beautiful. We also have it planted in front of the greenhouse. We'll look at that in just a second. But in the center of the window box, we have some angelonia. If we turn this way, this is our dahlia and zinnia patch. Some of the dahlias are just starting to open, and the zinnias, this is the linen zinnias from Johnny's. Look at those blooms. Aren't they gorgeous? This half of the dahlia patch is all dahlias that are started from seed. And the exciting thing about starting dahlias from seed is every seed holds a dahlia that has never before been born, which is so much fun. And this I was so excited about. My first dahlia from seed was opening up and the Japanese beetles got to it. But you can see it's a very sweet flower. Oh my goodness. So in love with it. We do have, okay, this one wasn't started from seed. This was a tuber. Copper Boy Dahlia. It's very pretty. In another few weeks, the dahlia patch should really be full of blooms. You can see everything has started to bud up. So a couple weeks ago, we did come in here and pinch all of them. That is why none of them really do have blooms yet. But oh my goodness. Litchfield Angel David Austin Rose is blooming again. Hopefully the Japanese beetles will leave this one alone. Oh, it's one of my favorite David Austin roses. Garden phlox. This is the Bright Eyes garden phlox, I believe. Looking very beautiful if we turn this way. This is some agastache that I had started from seed. The bees love it. Look at that. Isn't that so much fun? They also do love the butterfly weed. Let's together walk down this pathway. I call this my flower alley because it's just filled with all kinds of blooms. Some more phlox. I don't know if you guys have ever smelled garden phlox, but they smell so good. Like they just have this soft scent as you walk into the garden. There's some more liatris that we had started from bulb just this spring. And if we turn this way, do you remember when we planted all the salvia in here? It is starting to grow like crazy. The red supertunias are just starting to fill in. And if we look this way, there is 5 of these dahlias planted along this border. This is rhubarb and custard dahlia. Isn't that so pretty? I know one of you said that you got your hands on this dahlia this spring. You were so excited about it. Alnwick, David Austin Rose. Oh, I love these blooms. So this is actually a rose that I had transplanted twice last summer. And it didn't even mind its move. It's looking glorious. The 2 hydrangeas that we planted just this spring, these are both incredible hydrangeas. One is storm-proof and the other one is just a regular incredible. Look at the difference in the blooms. I hope this one catches up to the other one eventually. Salvia in here is looking beautiful. The alyssum has finally started taking off. And if we back up a little bit, look at the alyssum on this door. Oh, it's looking so sweet. And I did find a window. I thought I had found a window to replace this one that broke. And it's just a tiny bit too small. So I'm thinking about just adding some hinges and kind of attaching it to the top because, I mean, there's nothing inside. This is just a little tool shed. There's nothing inside that minds getting wet. So it would mostly just be for looks. There's some gladiolas. Lavender is looking so pretty. This is what I'm hoping the front cut flower garden will look like eventually with its lavender hedge. The bees adore the lavender. We do have a little, is it little lime? Hydrangea. Planted this one 2 years ago and it's finally starting to fill in a little bit. I had divided some of the lavender from over here on this side this spring and just moved it over here and it's looking so good. And then I did want to repeat the agastaki that we have over here. I did bring one to this side as well. And then our, oh my goodness. Oh, I do have the tag on this tree. I had to remember I couldn't remember what the name was. This is a Crimson Cascade Weeping Peach. This was a Mother's Day gift from Harley. And it has the most beautiful pink blooms on it in spring. Can't wait to share it with you guys next spring. On the other side of, or I should say in the middle of the picket fence, we do have our vegetable garden. And in every section of fence panel, just on the other side of the fence, there's a different vegetable. Actually, here we do have some marigolds and there's Swiss chard. We have some beets planted along here. And I did remove, we had some radishes in here. So I just came in here last week with some kale seeds and planted kale in there. The onions in this section, I think this is the first year that my onions have done so well. I started them from seed using the winter sowing method, and they are looking beautiful. I have to show it to you. Look at those big bulbs. We are back out here at the entrance into the pathway. The Rudbeckia, Firelight Hydrangea, and this Daylily are absolutely having a moment together. Looking so pretty. This is Harlow Carr David Austin Rose. I'm not usually a fan of bright pink flowers, but if the Japanese beetles leave this rose alone, it is usually just covered in blooms. You can see it's budding up all over the place again. This is, oh my goodness, I'm so excited about this. Some hollyhocks that we had started from seed just this past winter using the winter sowing method. And look at it. It already has blooms. Our chrysanthemum that we planted earlier this summer is doing very well. And this is my first trumpet lily that I'm growing. It's called Beverly Trumpet Lily, and it's so close to blooming. Right here we have serendipity alliums, and this is where we got the divisions from that we planted out into the front cut flower garden. It's a very easy flower to divide at the end of the summer and plant it into more spots in the garden. I think this is it Sally Holmes? Rose. This is such a pretty rose. It's not very showy, but the blooms are very sweet. We have a Dahlia, peaches and cream Dahlia, that's just starting to bloom. I still have not removed the clematis from here. I'm still trying to decide what I would want to plant in its spot. Some more of the hollyhocks that we had started from seed just this past winter using the winter sowing method are again blooming, and these have double blooms. Oh, they're so pretty. Okay, let's just walk into the garden for just a little bit because I had been sharing a design plan with you guys. I think it was a couple weeks ago when we came in here just to kind of draw out where we would possibly like to have some raised beds. So all along the fence will be one long raised bed. So I had drawn or painted lines like this, but I think what we are going to do is have the beds run the opposite direction. And I think it'll look a lot better, and it'll give us more space as well. Because this side of the garden will all be flowers, and then this side of the garden will still be our vegetable garden. And I really do not want to take space away from the vegetable garden. I think it'll look better to the eye, as well as it won't be taking space away from our vegetable garden. But oh, can you imagine what this will look like with the greenhouse in the background with all of those flowers? Back out here, we do have Vanessa Bell, David Austin Rose. And this is the first time this season that it actually looks well. It had thrips earlier this season, and then the Japanese beetles came in and attacked it. So it's finally having its moment. Some more garden phlox I got from my mom's garden, still looking so pretty. And back in here, we do have some more of the chrysanthemums that we had planted. Another hardy hibiscus that has just started opening its bloom. And this, with the pinky winky hydrangea with the daylilies kind of in between them, oh, it is such a fun combination. And along this side of the cut flower garden, there's not a whole lot in bloom right now besides the garden phlox, and the sweet peas are still looking very pretty. This is Joyce Stanton sweet peas. Isn't that color just fabulous? Actually, we do have some Stokes aster that we did plant in here this spring, and it has just started blooming. It's a baby plant, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing that grow up and just be a beautiful spot in the summer garden. And we planted lots of catmint in here. So next spring and summer, this should just be filled all along the edge with catmint. Before we head into the greenhouse garden, if we turn this way, we have our honeybee hives back here. And back here is where we have our orchard, and we have 2 rows of grapes that we planted last spring. That's those blue things that you see. We have them protected right now, and it also helps them grow quicker, having those blue strips around them. Okay, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place with you guys, but I did forget to share these sweet peas with you. So I think it was a week ago, I came in here and I cut all of these back. But look at them. It just, like, it really made them take off just by cutting them back. So I think once I see these kind of fade a little bit, I'm just going to come in here, cut them back again, and hopefully we can keep them blooming until fall. Okay, now we are ready to head into the greenhouse garden. So this flower bed is obviously one that we put in just this spring because this past winter we built our greenhouse. The gladiolas, do you guys remember when we planted the gladiolas in here? Aren't they so beautiful? This is the smoky haze mix, or sorry, pink haze mix from Eden Brothers. And it is such a pretty mix. Back in here, the Solomon seal and the lady's mantle that we planted on both sides of the honeysuckle are doing very good. And this is Parfuma Bliss rose. Oh my goodness, if you guys don't have this rose and you're looking for a new rose to grow, highly recommend this rose. Oh my goodness, it is so pretty with its soft blush color, and it has such a full bloom. The Rose of Sharon at the entrance of the greenhouse garden. Oh my goodness, the hummingbirds are usually all over this plant. Love the soft pink color with the dark center. And this is more of double vintage coral super bells. Looking so sweet in the planters in front of the greenhouse. We do have the center is Gara, and then we have it surrounded with euphorbia and some more lantana. Before we look at the rest of the flowers, let's walk into the greenhouse together because there's a couple of new things in here that I'm very excited to share with you. So we had a couple of weeks ago, we did put up these curtains to kind of help so the sun doesn't shine quite as brightly in here. But in a very recent thrift store trip, first of all, found these sweet little seed starting terracotta planters. And isn't this water can absolute perfection? I believe I'm going to paint it. It does look very sweet the way it is, but I thought it would look better maybe if we painted it. And the sweetest terrarium I have ever seen. I'm just imagining a little plant in here in the greenhouse this fall and this winter. Isn't it very sweet? So last summer, none of this was here. Like I'm going to have to throw up a video or a picture because it's like the difference is just, it's more than I could have ever imagined. So if we turn this way, I'm hoping by next summer this will also look very different. If we have our raised beds in here and maybe have it filled with like the pathways with gravel and maybe have a water fountain in the center of it. But in this raised bed, we do have the precious metals zinnias from Floret Flower Farm. This is one of my favorite mixes just because of the soft colors. And if we walk into what will eventually be our raised bed garden filled with cut flowers, this is ballerina zinnia from Johnny's. Just look at those blooms. I mean, they are massive and the color is absolute perfection. And then we have little flower girl zinnias. This is also from Floret Flower Farm. Aren't those blooms just so sweet? This is, oh, I can't remember for sure the name. It's a straw flower that I got the seeds from Johnny's, but they're just a very soft pink color. And this is kind of like an everlasting flower if you dry them. Right behind it, we have celosia that has just started blooming. Those are so fun to use in cut flower arrangements. And our lisianthus. Do you guys remember when we decided to experiment with starting lisianthus from seed using the winter sowing method? Look at them. Like, they were just these very tiny things when we planted them out here into the garden. Now they're getting ready to bloom. If we walk back into the greenhouse garden, over here in this raised bed, we do have cosmos. Blush cupcake cosmos. Don't they just kind of remind you of a cupcake? The seeds were from Johnny's, but oh, they're so sweet. Now if we turn this way, this is the herb garden. Now you guys might remember when we planted all those herbs in here this spring. There was a lot of herbs that we had, low growing herbs that we had planted along the front. So far, there's 4 of them that survived because right after I planted them, the chickens get out twice into this herb garden and they just like, and you can see right in here, like this is what they'll do to a garden. They will just literally destroy it. And they destroyed all of those herbs that we had planted in here. So I think what we are going to do, just so this doesn't happen again, I would love to add in another raised bed in here for next spring and just have that one filled with herbs. But there is one herb that we did plant back in here where the chickens didn't get into, and it survived. This is marshmallow. We started it from seed using the winter sowing method, and look at it. It's blooming right now. It's looking so sweet. I had planted some ground cherries right in here. The chickens got to that as well, unfortunately, so we'll just have to try again next year. And our little apple tree that I shared with you guys, I think it was last week or then the week before, that we got on the clearance rack for like, I think it was like $12. So this is a fruit snacks apple tree, and it only grows 2 to 3 feet wide. So I thought it would be perfect here in the herb garden. I'm thinking about coming in and just taking the top off because that's where it was suffering. The bottom is looking amazing. The top doesn't look quite as healthy because, again, the Japanese beetles, you see what they do to plants? Like, they just completely take out the leaves. And we are back to our pathway or flower alley. But over here, I did want to show this to you guys because we had planted this rose together. New Eden climbing rose. Not New Eden, this is New Dawn climbing rose. So eventually it will reach up and climb up over this arbor. I would love to turn this arbor into a potting shed eventually. That is on my to-do list. Oh, such a sweet time of year. Well, friends, I have so enjoyed being in the garden together with you again. My hope is always that our gardens bring joy to your day. And I hope you enjoyed this end of July walk through the gardens, just seeing everything that is in bloom and kind of comparing the beginning of July to the end of July. And I know that August is just going to bring more beautiful blooms. Have an amazing week in your own gardens, and I will see you right back here real soon. Bye.